We're traveling with my boyfriend, 29 male, his brother and his partner. We went on a cruise and got extremely drunk. I have a good tolerance generally, but yesterday for the first time I blacked out. I don't remember how I got to my cabin and I woke up naked. Didn't think too much about it because I had to rush and leave the boat that had arrived at our destination. My boyfriend was sleeping in the twin bed next to me. We start driving down and at lunch we have a moment alone and he tells me he fucked me while I was unconscious. He came in me and didn't clean up afterwards. He starts laughing as if it was a really funny joke and I nervously giggle not knowing how to react. He says to me, "You like it, right?" At this point I'm realizing I feel disgusted and dirty. I had realized I was wet during the day and didn't understand why. When he sees that my reaction isn't positive he gets mad. He expects me to find it funny. When I ask for space he gets annoyed. For the rest of the day I'm holding back tears and he's started to realize he fucked up. I'm still so hungover and the group situation means I'm putting up an act as if everything's okay. I don't know what to do. I feel stuck. I lost my credit card yesterday too. He has had sex with me before while I was sleeping. I have consented to this and also I can stop him if I want to if it happens. But this feels so different. I couldn't say no and I hate the fact that he came inside of me and didn't clean up. I feel like so disrespected, mostly too because of how he expects me to find it funny. The time difference with my home country means I can't talk to anybody. I'm at a loss on how to process this. Any advice is welcome. Thank you for reading. Edit, I just want to clear some things up. 1. I have an IUD so I'm not worried about that aspect. 2. When he initiates while I'm sleeping I always woke up and either continue or ask him to stop. 3. Besides being blacked out I was told I was found sleeping on the floor. They could not wake me up despite trying to. 4. My credit card appeared. It was in his jean pocket. I genuinely don't think he was hiding it from me, he simply forgot. I usually give him my valuables when we go out because he has better pockets. 5. I'm now at the grandmother's house. I feel safe. Haven't talked much yet. I will start looking for flights now with my card. Thank you for the overwhelming support. I'm very grateful for being able to vent when I didn't have anybody. Update 1. Firstly, I'd like to correct something that several people mentioned before. I was effectively passed out that night, confirmed by a third party, and him. I broke up with him. It was the final straw after what had been a deeply uncomfortable trip, not because of spending time with his family or the activities themselves, but because of him. Throughout the trip, his behavior made me feel increasingly uneasy. To give you a better sense of what happened, here's a breakdown of the incidents leading up to my decision, from the least to the most alarming. 1. Constant annoyance. He seemed to take genuine pleasure in irritating me. Despite my efforts to be a great guest, dressing nicely, engaging in conversations, making people laugh, and helping around the house, he would deliberately annoy me. For example, while I was talking about artists I admire, he kept interrupting me on purpose, throwing out wrong names just to get a reaction. I was sharing something meaningful, and he chose to mock it. Another time, during a crowded lunch, I was visibly anxious trying to seat his whole family. I told him I was feeling nervous, and he laughed, asking, "What, are you autistic?" 2. Drawing dicks on me. At a hotel with another couple, I was lying on the couch with my legs on him. He started drawing dicks on my calves with a ballpoint pen, despite me repeatedly asking him to stop. I felt humiliated in front of his friends, whom I had just met 2 days earlier. When I finally got up and left early, he seemed baffled that I was mad but later offered a half-hearted apology. 3. Flashing me in public. One night, after drinking with his brother, 27M, and his brother's girlfriend, 21F, he asked me to take a picture of him and his brother. When I aimed the camera, I realized he had pulled out his penis. Thankfully, the girlfriend didn't notice, but I was shocked and immediately distanced myself for the rest of the night. He just laughed it off with his brother, not taking me seriously, again. 4. Unconsented sex. The most disturbing incident happened when I passed out from drinking. The next day, during a road trip to his grandmother's house, he told me what had happened. His brother's girlfriend confirmed to me that she had tried to wake me up, shaking and yelling at me, but I was completely unresponsive. Despite knowing this, he decided to undress me and have sex with me while I was passed out. Instead of caring for me, changing my clothes, making sure I was safe, hydrated, and not at risk of choking, he violated my trust. He knows how meticulous I am about cleaning up after sex, and yet, in my most vulnerable state, he did the opposite of taking care of me. After he told me, I was catatonic for the rest of the drive. I felt trapped, with 8 hours more to go alone in that car. That night, I confronted him not only about the unconsented sex but about all the unresolved issues in our relationship, including him texting prostitutes, supposedly for a potential client. I had the brilliant idea of recording the conversation. This will serve as a constant reminder of how he isn't the man I thought him to be. The recording is an hour long. I made a transcript of it and processed it through an AI to get this summary. As stupid as it sounds, I used it to put into words what I couldn't quite express. The following summary doesn't even cover the entirety of all the awful things he said. Keep in mind we were dating for 2 years together and living together for 1. I am still shocked how you think you can know someone and actually have a completely different person. This is the summary of the recording. Feel free to skip it, it is quite long. 1. Sexual boundaries and consent violations. One of the most alarming aspects of the conversation is your revelation that your partner had sex with you while you were passed out drunk. You clearly expressed that you felt violated and used, as you were in no condition to give consent in that moment. You describe waking up to realize that he had left his semen inside you without cleaning you up, which made you feel disgusted and humiliated. Your quote, "You had sex with me while I was passed out drunk. I couldn't wake up, and you didn't even clean me up after you came inside me. I didn't realize until hours later, and it made me feel so dirty." In response, he offers a weak apology, trying to justify his actions by saying he thought he had your prior consent, but clearly didn't understand that consent must be ongoing and cannot be given when someone is incapacitated. His response, "I thought I had your consent because of what we talked about before, that I could do it when you were sleeping. Now I see you didn't like it, but in my mind, I thought it was okay." This statement shows a lack of understanding of consent and disregard for your autonomy. Even more concerning is that when you first brought it up, he laughed at the situation, showing a lack of empathy and a clear dismissal of the seriousness of the violation. 2. Humiliation and disrespectful actions. You mentioned several instances where your partner humiliated or disrespected you in public and private, such as drawing penises on your body without your consent and flashing you in front of others. These actions made you feel deeply embarrassed and devalued, especially when they occurred in front of his friends, whom you had just met. Your quote, "You drew penises on my body in front of your friends, and I felt humiliated. I barely knew these people, and you made me feel exposed and embarrassed." Rather than understanding your discomfort, he minimizes the situation, framing it as a harmless joke and dismissing your reaction as an overreaction. His response, "I don't see why you're so upset. Drawing penises on you is just a sign of affection to me, it's not a big deal. I thought we were all friends, and you're being insecure." This response is highly problematic as it shows a lack of respect for your feelings and boundaries. By framing your discomfort as insecurity, he invalidates your experience and shifts the blame onto you. 3. Dismissive attitude toward your emotions. Throughout the conversation, he repeatedly dismisses your emotions, making you feel as though you are overreacting or that your feelings are not valid. This is a common tactic in emotional manipulation known as gaslighting, where the perpetrator makes the victim doubt their own perceptions and feelings. Your quote, "I've been asking you to stop doing these things that make me feel disrespected, but you keep ignoring my boundaries. It's exhausting to constantly ask for basic respect." His response, "I think you're getting too hung up on these small things. You're overreacting to things like the drawing and the flashing. It's not that serious." By telling you that you're overreacting, he is invalidating your very real and reasonable feelings of discomfort and disrespect. This behavior erodes your confidence in standing up for yourself and contributes to your emotional exhaustion. 4. Inconsistent apologies and lack of accountability. He apologizes several times throughout the conversation, but his apologies are often followed by excuses or justifications, which undermines their sincerity. Rather than taking full accountability for his actions, he frequently deflects or tries to rationalize his behavior, making it difficult for you to trust that he will change. Your quote, "It's not just one thing, it's been a series of events that have made me feel disrespected and like I'm just your F/CK toy. I don't feel like you're my best friend. I can't trust you when you keep crossing my boundaries." His response, "I'm sorry, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I've been messing up a lot, but these things aren't who I am. I think it's just a bad string of events. We can work it out together." By downplaying the significance of his actions, he is avoiding the responsibility of truly understanding and addressing your feelings. His apologies lack depth and reflection, leaving you feeling unheard and dismissed. 5. Failure to prioritize emotional intimacy. You express feeling like you're not part of a true partnership and that he doesn't prioritize emotional intimacy with you. You feel like you're being treated more like an accessory or an object than a partner, despite making significant efforts to maintain the relationship. Your quote, "I don't feel like we're a team anymore. I've been making so much effort to be a good partner, but it feels like I'm just here for your benefit, not as an equal." His response, "I love you, and I want to make this work, but I feel like maybe you've been wanting to break up for a while. I think you're being hard on me." Rather than acknowledging your feelings of emotional neglect, he shifts the focus to whether or not you've been considering a breakup, subtly guilt-tripping you and avoiding addressing the core issue of emotional intimacy. This lack of real engagement with your concerns shows that he is not fully committed to the emotional health of the relationship. 6. Gaslighting and emotional manipulation. There are several moments where he uses gaslighting to make you question your reactions, particularly when he tells you that you're being too sensitive or overreacting. This tactic undermines your trust in your own emotions and perceptions, causing you to doubt yourself. Your quote, "Every time I bring up how much these things hurt me, you act like I'm overreacting. It makes me feel like I'm crazy for wanting basic respect." His response, "I think you're still mad about the sex incident, and that's why you're holding on to this. I've apologized, and I've been trying to make it right, but you're not letting it go. By framing your sustained hurt as unreasonable or excessive, he is invalidating your pain and making it seem like the issue is with your inability to move on, rather than with his actions. 7. Emotional exhaustion and unequal effort. You repeatedly express how emotionally drained you are from constantly having to explain your feelings and ask for respect. You feel like you've been putting in significant effort to make the relationship work, but he hasn't been reciprocating that effort. Your quote, "I've been putting so much effort into being a good guest on this trip, trying to be nice, looking good, and being social, but I feel like it's all for nothing because you don't make me feel valued." His response, "I know you've been making a lot of effort, and I appreciate it, but I feel like maybe you're expecting too much from me." This response further highlights the imbalance in the relationship. Rather than recognizing the unequal emotional labor you're carrying, he subtly shifts the responsibility back onto you, implying that you are asking too much. I wish I could upload the original audio without compromising privacy. It is so much worse than what's written above, but at least this gives you a gist of how insensitive he was being. Throughout the conversation I cry a lot, just begging him to treat me right, with respect. And he just doesn't get it. He shows no empathy, no understanding. Bonus interaction that didn't enter in the summary: he was proud he hadn't drawn dicks or flashed me again. He said it as proof that he was improving. I ended the conversation by clearly stating that I wanted to leave as soon as possible. We slept separately that night. The next morning, he apologized. I pretended to accept it as I wasn't going to risk further harm. He seemed to believe I would stay a few more days, hoping to make things right, but I had already made up my mind. On the day I left, I secretly packed my bags and booked a hotel room. By then, I had spoken to my best friend and therapist, who both urged me to leave as quickly as possible. They gave me the strength to act, as I had been in such a shutdown state that I didn't know if I could do it alone. The first person I told I was leaving was his grandmother, a woman I love and admire. She's the kindest, most joyful person, and I had planned to make up an excuse for leaving. After dinner I got her to sit down with me alone in a nonchalant way that wouldn't raise suspicions. Instead of lying, I broke down and told her the truth about the unconsensual sex. She held me as I cried for the first time since it happened, and she stayed with me, comforting me as I continued to sob. She told me what happened wasn't love and that she was pissed at her grandson. She even offered me money and a ride to the hotel, doing everything she could to support me when I needed it most. When the taxi arrived, my, now ex-boyfriend was confused, but I didn't care. Leaving the rest of his family was awkward, and I don't know how much they know. Despite everything, I felt an immense sense of relief as I drove away. This trip opened my eyes to the extent of the emotional and physical violations I had been enduring. What started as subtle disrespect and annoyance escalated into clear boundary crossing and violations of trust. I finally realized that I deserved better, respect, care, and love that was genuine. Walking away wasn't easy, but it was necessary for my well-being. With the support of those who truly care for me, I know I'll be able to heal and move forward from this chapter of my life. I am now safe at home and have not drunk for a whole week. During the past months I had become dependent on alcohol, and during the vacation it turned into full-out abuse. I have had enough and I feel so much better. That beer at 6 p.m. fools you into thinking it makes you feel better, and then it ends up in you being wasted. I do not miss being hungover every day. Slowly rebuilding my life and self-love, taking the time to process what happened with compassion, one day at a time. I started running, yoga and meditating. Very motivated to finish my degree and get a job I actually enjoy. I feel excited for the future. I am much more at peace. If you are curious of another issue we had in our relationship, this is a post I made about him a couple of months ago. Again, you can see how he clearly disrespects my boundaries despite me being abundantly clear I was not okay with his relationship with my sister. I want to thank the people that responded to my original post, when I found out I was completely alone on an 8-hour car ride and due to the time difference I couldn't call home. You made me realize that I was not crazy, that my feelings were okay. I am so grateful for everybody that read and took time out of your day to answer. Lastly, I have also seen an uptick in posts with situations similar like mine. Women feeling disrespected by people that trust in sexual manners. I want you to know it is not okay. Consent is explicit and ongoing. Your partner's priority should be to make you always feel comfortable. If they do something they know is out of line, they do not love you, they love having you around. I am having a hard time accepting what happened. I feel lost, lonely, and confused. I am trying to reconcile these two images of the man who used to be my best friend. This trip was supposed to be a reward for both of us after a really challenging time where he did an amazing job of supporting me. He supposedly started therapy after I left the trip, but later I cut contact with him. He has texted me 2 times since, once saying that he wished he could delete what happened and another time saying he hoped I was okay. I was hoping to get more support back home, but unfortunately the subject is so hard/uncomfortable to talk about that everybody wants to tiptoe around it. He is still traveling and I have no idea when and if he will return. Despite ending on such a positive note, I sometimes feel I try to convince myself that what he did isn't that bad and that he is willing to change. I am so baffled by how someone I knew for 2 years could do such a 180 on me. Some of my friends say he was like this because we were in his home country and not back in my home country where we used to live together. Any advice on how to move on is welcome. Thank you. Now on to second story. Husband accused me of neglecting motherly duties when I refused to cook Thanksgiving dinner after 15 years of stress. For the past 15 years, I, 38F, have been the one cooking Thanksgiving lunch, or at least the turkey and most of the food. It's been a tradition, but this year, I'm completely burnt out. I'm a teacher with 4 kids, ages 2 to 15, and this year has been especially stressful with work, parenting, and school. I just don't have the energy to take on such a big responsibility again. I suggested that my sister-in-law, Sil 1, who just moved into a new house, should maybe host this year, and could make the turkey. She's a stay-at-home mom with 1 child, 11 months old, so I thought it wouldn't be too much to ask. My mother-in-law immediately shut that idea down, saying Sil 1 is unreliable and might not wake up early enough to make it. How is that my problem? I then suggested my brother-in-law's wife could also take on the responsibility. They got married this summer but have been together for over 5 years. She's never cooked a turkey before, but my mother-in-law said, the turkey cooks itself, so I don't see why she can't give it a try. Everyone else shows up to eat every year without lifting a finger, but when I suggest not cooking this year, it's suddenly a crisis. When I told my husband I wasn't cooking, he said I'm just resentful because his parents helped Sil 1 buy her house. That's not true. I even suggested Sil 2 could make the turkey. Then he brought up that I'm mad because every time we have a date night, his parents tell my older daughter, who babysits her siblings, that we're neglecting our responsibilities as parents. I pointed out how unfair that is, but he just said, we're the most stable, so that's why we're always asked to take on more. My husband thinks my decision not to cook has less to do with stress and more to do with his family. He said I only decided not to cook after my mom said she wouldn't be coming over. My mom has been battling breast cancer for the past 10 months and just wants to stay home this year and avoid being around so many people. Last year, my parents spent Thanksgiving with my sister, who couldn't travel, but I still cooked for his family. In the past, I hosted Thanksgiving at our house because my family and siblings were coming over, but I've still made the turkey for his family for the last 15 years, even the years we hosted for only his side. So the idea that I'm refusing because it's his family isn't true. My husband also said I have 5 days to rest before Thanksgiving and doesn't understand why I can't just cook the turkey. I explained I don't want the responsibility of waking up early, making the turkey, and dealing with everyone asking me, is it almost done? For once, I just want to show up, sit down, and eat, like everyone else does. He threw in that I've been hosting Thanksgiving for the last 7 years, which I pointed out is exactly why I'm tired. When I told him I didn't want to do it, he accused me of neglecting my motherly duties, which really hurt. Why should I always be expected to take on the stress of cooking when others don't have to because they can't or don't want to? Well, I don't want to this year either. Update 1. After a lot of back and forth with my husband, here's where things stand. I told him that for lunch, the kids and I would be going over to my mom's house. She's recovering from breast cancer and just wants a quiet day, so I want to spend time with her. I told my husband he was welcome to join us or not, his choice. He asked if I could meet him halfway by popping the turkey in the oven before leaving for my mom so his family could eat at 3. I said no, but I'd be willing to cook the turkey if dinner was pushed to 6, giving me more time to prepare on my terms. He said that was too late. He then suggested his mom could cook the sides, and I'd just handle the turkey. Again, I said I'd only do it if dinner was moved to 6. When he refused, I stood firm and said no. I want to bring something easy this year, like sodas and desserts, just like everyone else gets to do. I'm tired of being the one responsible for the main dish when others can step up. For context, we live next door to his parents and his sister, so the constant expectations from his family are exhausting. My husband and I share the household responsibilities equally. He does all the daily cleaning, even when we aren't hosting, and we both handle the kids' baths, school drop-offs, and pickups. I'm not complaining about him at all. The issue is with his family. His family keeps insisting the others can't cook or host because they're incompetent. But the real problem is that my in-laws coddle them and never let them take responsibility for anything. That's not my problem to solve. I just want a break from being the one carrying the load every year. I'm sticking to my boundaries. If they think no one else is capable of cooking, then they can deal with the consequences, not me. Also, I had said since last month that I didn't want to host or cook, so this is not new information to his family. Update 2. Someone asked how it became the tradition of me making the turkey. My mill rarely made a turkey. They usually went to my husband's paternal grandparents' house. Him and the cousins are all the same age, so once everyone got married, his aunts and cousins started doing their own thing. I got handed the job of turkey because my mill said her oven was too small to fit the turkey. She has one of those built-in wall ovens from the 80s. The first year before we were living next to them, she came over and brought it prepped and put it in the oven herself and would come by to check it. Every year after that I was tasked to do it by myself. So for the first 7 years of me making it, we would have carried it in the car over to their house. Also, in years past we would have a second turkey made fried or smoked by my Phil. No one liked it or would eat it, so it would go to the dog. I was still making the main turkey that was just a second one.